Okay, Mayor, we are ready.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say good evening to everyone. At this point, we are back from a study session and closed session, and there's nothing to report. So at this point, I will go ahead and make a motion to adjourn from the study session. That is my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Hernandez. Any objections? Seeing none, so moved. Thank you very much. All right, so at this point, I'd like to open up the Baldwin Park City Council regular virtual meeting. Today is August the 5th, 2020. The time is 7:10. So at this point, I will ask our Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Morales, to take roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Alejandra Avila.
I believe she's there. She's there. I think we kind of momentarily
She's
lost.
muted.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jean M. Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Monica Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Paul C. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Present. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So at this point, we'll go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This one will stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, council members. So at this point, when I will close on several individuals, the first one would be Mr. Jorge Lizarraga, a Baldwin Park High School graduate, 18 years old, and also Obed Hernandez. These both individuals were involved in a very tragic accident that occurred on Baldwin Park Boulevard, not to in La Rica. So our deepest condolences goes out to the parents. I had an opportunity to say some words at Friday's gathering around the accident, and I recognize all the council members and our condolences to the family as well. They also had services there at St. John's yesterday. I was able to attend momentarily. Our condolences goes out to these two young individuals and the family members. And Lizarraga was 18 and Obed was 30 years old. Council members wishing to close on anyone else's behalf?
I also want to close on behalf of Jorge and Obed. Obed was a friend of my son's, and as you know, he was a former employee of the city of Baldwin Park. And we're very saddened. My whole family knew Obed. It was tragic. Mayor, when you sent me that video, it's crazy, but I had this crazy feeling. If you remember, I called you immediately telling you I was on my way. And when I was there at the site, not knowing, I just had this horrible feeling all along. And it turned out to be somebody we knew. Also, Jorge Lizarraga is my son's best friend's nephew. So it hit home, and it's a tragic accident. So I would like to close on their behalf as well. I know we've had several accidents on that street, so I really would like to see what else we can do there to slow down that traffic. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Alejandra Avila. All right, at this point, anyone
Mr.
else?
Mayor,
Yes, Vice Mayor.
thank you. I also want to take this opportunity to close on behalf of our city attorney's mother-in-law who passed on July the 20th, with her battle of cancer. Her name is Ofelia Nacionales, and as you can imagine, having a loved one pass away is unexpected. Is never a good feeling, but we do know, as with these young individuals that also passed recently, they're with the Lord and in heaven and being taken care of as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Vice Mayor Hernandez. At this point, any council members?
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. Councilmember Ms. Gina Ayala.
I would like to take this opportunity as well to close in honor of my grade school and childhood friend, Doug Ozine. Doug Ozine was a 53-year lifelong resident of the city of Baldwin Park. He succumbed to kidney failure on July 23rd and died peacefully at home. Doug was preceded in death by his father and is survived by his mother, Mrs. Dolores Azin, countless friends and family, and our grade school friends, our brothers and sisters. Doug was a graduate of Ballpark Park High School, class of 1985. His services will be on Monday, August 10th at 11 a.m. with the viewing, and on Tuesday, August 11th at 9 a.m., the gravesite, all which will take place at Forest Lawn in Covina. My heartfelt condolences to Doug's mom, his family and friends, and especially our classmates, our class of St. John the Baptist School, class of 1981. Douglas wasn't just our friend since first grade. He was our brother, our friend with a bigger than life personality, good natured and loving. He will be missed. Doug, rest now in peace. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And I want to say, I did have the privilege to meet Doug Azim, his mother, long life residents of the city of Baldwin Park, and our condolences goes out to him as well as our legal counsel's mother-in-law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, council members wishing to any other information they wish to share? If not, I just want to, first of all, before we go into public hearing, want to acknowledge our city in general, because we're ranked number 6 throughout the county, having the less revenues, or excuse me, having stabilized revenue as opposed to other cities that took a downturn. So part of that, we have to thank our residents, of course, shopping in Baldwin Park and continuing on. So we'll place that on the now, if we will, so our residents know the good news regarding that. All right, so at this point, I will go ahead and ask our Deputy City Clerk for public communication, if we have anyone.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I believe you have a State Controller's Office review presentation. Not sure if you want to go over that or skip it.
You know what? Let me see. Is the person, hold on one moment. One moment. Let me just double check here. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, Mayor, I have a quick update on the State Controller's Office review. If you would like, the council had asked for some updates time to time.
Okay, then that's fine. Yes, go ahead. Thank you, Shannon.
I think we have a document that we'll put up, and this has been circulated to the city council and to city staff. Just mainly some updates and letting you know what's going on finding number 2. Reports for on-call services. Public Works will start providing those this month, and we'll provide those on a quarterly basis ongoing. In addition, finding number 3, Finance is doing the research. We are proposing some updates to the city municipal code. They're doing the research. We'll probably have a study session for the city council in September and in October and get some final direction, and then bring that back for a revision to the municipal code. And finally, an update on finding number 4. There was a concern about a official's pension. CalPERS was contacted again in regards to the steps and the procedures that the city took, and CalPERS confirmed that the city did nothing wrong. We were all within their rules and within compliance with the laws. So we will close that finding for number 4 out, and we'll bring you an update back in another month. There's no questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for that follow-up, and excuse me on that, I had missed that. All right, so at this point, we're going to go into the public communication. So Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Morales, we'll go ahead and begin with the first person. We have, I believe, the total 14.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you.
The first speaker is Mr. Greg Tuttle. And let me go ahead and contact him now.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Would you like me to try one more time, or would you like me to go to the next?
No, let's go ahead and try one more time. Now we'll go to the next person. Mr. Tuttle, this is Manny. Good evening. We're calling you for the public communications. Hello? Yeah, go. Mr. Tuttle, we're calling for public communication.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to open the meeting tonight like the mayor closes the public speaking every meeting. The mayor and clueless Monica Garcia have their First Amendment rights also to lie as much as they want and call residents who tell the truth liars. The residents only get 3 minutes, but the mayor and Garcia will sit there for hours telling everybody how they're liars. At the last meeting, Lozano and Garcia both blame past council members for the lawsuits of the police chiefs and firing of the police chiefs. But what they failed to do is to tell them that they were responsible for hiring the police chiefs that were not qualified, like Hatzel, hiring a person that was a lieutenant to go to chief, and Marlene Garcia using her as a puppet, and even Hatzel in her court case, which I was a witness in, she said that she was a token Latino and first woman police chief. That's why she was hired. She wasn't hired because of her experience. Then Salcido was not even properly vetted for his physical problems and was hired by Lozano to be a puppet and help him through his elections. Salcido was fired because he wouldn't do dirty, illegal things for Pacheco and Lozano. And I have examples on that, like trying to tow away my trucks that had Pacheco signs on it. McLean was brought in by Officer Frank Rial and Officer Herda because they're inadequate to get promotions because they're too stupid to get promoted. So what they did is they generated $25,000 from a Dr. Barani that had his son fired from the PD because he had sex in the car with a police car at Baldwin Park. Now, Lozano promised the two dirty cops promotions once McLean was in. McLean, not knowing this, got in and said, no, you're going to do testing. And when he said the testing, then Frank Rial and Herda did the same thing they did to Taylor. He's a racist and all this stuff and came up with all the dirty lies. The city attorney, you have a dirty city attorney that's been sanctioned. Also, he has charges that are a court case that has just been filed on him this week for fraud, for pay to play at the Rialto Water Board. This attorney needs to go. He's cost the city millions of dollars in lawsuits. The city's bankrupt. The state audit showed it, and many of the illegal doings, like the $3 million that mysteriously missing, is not an accounting error. It wasn't done mistakenly. You have a accounting person, you have a accounting firm that's supposed to look over all these things, and then you have a city manager. Obviously, you have three incompetent people there that are not doing their job.
Right, thank you.
We need to change.
Okay, at this point, Mr.
And
Tuttle,
bringing
thank
in
you.
Gene Alla.
Right. At this point, the time's up, Mr. Tuttle. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for your information. Okay, we're going to move on to the next caller.
Okay, the next caller is Ms. Beatriz Sandoval.
Sure, thank you.
I'm not in my little book. I don't know what my.
Beatriz Sandoval, good evening. We're calling you and for public speaking.
Que no hay respuesta derecho en español.
Go ahead. Are you able to hear us? Hello?
Sí.
Yes, go ahead.
Que no quiero primero agradecer a todos los miembros del concilio por esta reunión especial que tuvieron acerca de Home Key Program Project. agradezco también todos sus comentarios y sus preguntas. Y específicamente también para agradecerles por la oportunidad de poder dar nuestros comentarios en el idioma que nosotros nos sentimos más confortables. Quiero hablar, una de mis preocupaciones siempre ha sido el bienestar de las familias de la ciudad de Baldwin Park, sin importar el nivel económico o el estatus migratorio o la situación en la que ellos estén. Toda mi preocupación, una de las personas que son vendedores en la calle, que venden elotes, frutas y otros, con la preocupación de que no sabía qué hacer con un ticket que le dieron por estar vendiendo en la calle. En mi conocimiento está que hay una ley estatal que les permite a estas personas tener un permiso para vender sus productos en la calle. Yo sé que nuestra ciudad tiene sus propias regulaciones y no nada más quiero expresar mi preocupación, pero también quiero expresar la idea de que, no sé, Business Association o la ciudad, la Oficina de Desarrollo Comunitario pueda ofrecer unas clases para estas personas, cómo puedan adquirir el permiso de nuestra ciudad para que ellos puedan vender sus productos sin ninguna preocupación. Como inmigrante, yo estoy segura que me encanta la comida de la calle y yo sé que tenemos ciertas regulaciones que hay que cumplir, pero creo que también hay que apoyar el comercio informal. Como una dueña de negocio, a mí no me estorba el hecho de que haya personas vendiendo en la calle o ofreciendo productos o servicios de los que yo ofrezco. El sol nace para todos y nosotros podemos cada quien ofrecer mejores servicios según los clientes que nosotros queramos tener. La otra preocupación que tengo es acerca de del budget como se está planeando tener. Me preocupa mucho que leí que en uno de los gastos va a haber casi $200,000 gastados en equipo para como laptops y eso, cuando ahorita hay tanta necesidad de asistir a las familias con el pago de su renta. Creo que pueden hacer una mejor distribución del presupuesto y yo sé que muchos de ustedes están muy preocupados y están muy conectados con la comunidad, ofreciendo la más ayuda que pueden.
Beatriz,
pero creo que lo pueden hacer mejor.
okay, gracias. Thank you very much. Thank you, Beatriz. Very well noted.
Quisiera que mi comentario fuera traducido al inglés, por favor.
Yes, they will. Muchas gracias. Yes.
Gracias.
All right. Are you able to do that right now?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you, Ms. Morales.
My name is Beatriz, and first I want to thank all of the members of the City Council for the Home Key Project special session meeting. I thank you for all your questions and your input, specifically for sharing your comments and for allowing me to share my comments in the language we are most comfortably speaking. My first priority is the residents of Baldwin Park, regardless of their status or regardless of their economic status or their immigration status. I am concerned for a vendor who was cited for conducting street vending. I thought it was illegal, and I know our city has its own regulations. I hope that the Business Association can assist merchants in contacting the proper channels to obtain a business license. As an immigrant and business owner, I love eating street food and I support street vending. Another concern I have is the budget. There's talk about $200,000 expenditures on laptops. I disagree when there is a lot of need, like rent assistance. And then the time was up after that.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Move along with the next caller. Thank you.
Okay. The next caller is, her name is Lilybeth Mudo.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Mudo?
Not yet. I'm sorry. One
Okay.
moment.
Thank you.
Welcome to Verizon.
Okay. Would you like me to try it one more time?
Absolutely. Hi, Ms. Muto. This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor of Baldwin Park. We're calling you. This is the opportunity for you to share information you wish to be aired here. You have approximately 3 minutes.
Okay, it's Mrs. Ramos, actually, not Ms. Muto.
Oh, what is it?
Mrs. Ramos.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ramos. I have 2 emails. There's one from, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct.
That's my email. That's not my name, though.
Got
So
it.
it's very
Thank you.
different. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say I have absolutely nothing to thank the council members for, except for Ms. Avila for actually being the one to speak up for us. As we all know, we have asked you guys to leave the seat vacant for the next general municipal election. Nobody has done that even after we've opposed it. So I know that this is definitely not something that you guys abide by. You guys are not a democracy. You don't abide by the rules. So that's something that I don't even think we need to discuss anymore. I think that even after our hundreds of comments, it's not something that you guys quickly disregard. I would ask Lozano to actually respond to some of our questions this time instead of just kind of dismissing us and putting us aside. I want to let the community of Baldwin Park, who's actually listening and caring, just let you guys know that you have seen Lozano and his team's decisions and behavior reflect selfishness and self-interest, and he has failed the city of Baldwin Park. So in just ending the statement with Viva Baldwin Park, I don't know what you mean by that when you have failed your people. I'm also asking that the mayor respond to the hundreds of constituents who continue and day by day to express their opposing views to his decisions. I'd like Lozano to actually address why he blocks everybody. You know, he is using his Instagram and Facebook page as a platform for his political agenda, and if he is doing so, he is not actually allowed to block any of us. Further, I want to request that Monica actually reflect transparency during her votes during her votes when she's actually voting on something, instead of just wasting our time ranting on about how transparent she really is. I don't think that that's appropriate, and I don't think that feeding your ego is valuable for us in our time. In addition, this is something I feel very strongly about, and I ask that Paul learn to be a role model to young viewers, especially people who are on here, high school, who are listening and listening to things that are going on with the community. And I ask that he show respect towards the women he works with. You should all feel ashamed for allowing him to raise his voice at Ms. Avila and demonstrating his lack of leadership so blatantly and in public and live. Paul Hernandez, there's absolutely no excuse for your lack of respect. I want to thank Ms. Avila more than anybody else on here for actually being a reasonable person and representing our city. So Lozano, you say Viva Baldwin Park, but I would ask that you not just speak about it, you actually be about it, because we're no longer going to put up with whatever it is your decisions are. I ask that you whatever it is, the lawsuit that you're suing again, you're counter suing, take that out of your own money. You've cost us the city enough money, and we don't have to pay for that. Well, we have other things that we can actually have, things such as clinic centers, health care centers, centers for actually youth to go into, colleges and learn more things, but instead you waste our money on these lawsuits that clearly you are rightfully supposed to be sued for. And on another note, since you do have strong ties with the police department and you appoint whoever you please, I'm going to inform you to please inform Officer Herrera and Gamboa to get some more additional training, because their lack of leadership to keep the community safe is showing. You threatened a 15-year-old boy. You threatened to arrest my husband, who is more competent about the laws that your policemen.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. Thank you, Ms. Ramos. The time has ended. And I
appreciate you actually answering my questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So at this point, we're moving on to the next person.
The next caller is Mr. John Rios.
All right, Mr. Rios. Oh, you're calling. Sorry about that.
Hello.
Mr. Rios, Manuel Lozano, sir. This is public communication, so you have the opportunity to share information you wish to.
How you doing?
We're good. Fine. Thank you, sir.
One of the things in the community right now, they're listening to rumors or whatever it is, that we have a clerk that's going to be named, or you already named her, and then interim chief that you already put in. And they said they were just wondering how come you didn't go through process of putting it out there for people to apply for it. Another thing is that I had sent some other requests to speak to the city council, and it was denied, or they didn't, when Jeannie was the clerk, but it doesn't matter, okay? The only thing that the community right now needs to know is when are they going to start giving out tickets for parking for the streetper. And another thing is that I had put a request with Sam about a bus stop. He knows what I'm talking about. And the parking lot for the Kaiser Permanente.
Yes.
It's like crap.
Okay.
And we get people going through there, I would say, at least a couple of thousand every day, and it looks bad. And that's one of the things that's why I called him directly, so they can take care of it as soon as possible, because it does look bad, I do want to bring it out to a city council. That's a waste of time for right now. But, my concern is we got to keep the city looking the way it's supposed to be. And we're not getting the response from Public Works. That's why I called him directly, so we can get things done. Then another thing is on Walnut Creek, they were not opening until 8:30. I had to call Manny Carrillo and ask him what happened. You always used to open it at 7 o'clock because the people go in there, they do the walking or the running, whatever they do. So I had to call Manny and ask him to follow up if he could, and he did. He did, And on, code enforcers, they're doing a beautiful job. I even see them picking up stuff that they're not supposed to, but they pick it up and they put it in their trucks, and there's the good things and the bad things. On the bus stop it's a handicapped person that needs it. She has to get down over at Kaiser.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rios. Your time is up, and you definitely left a lot of homework for Public Works and also the citations. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
If you could take care of all that, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All righty. We're going to the next caller.
Yes, Mark Lopez.
To Verizon.
Go ahead, try one more time.
I'm sorry, he's not picking up. The next caller is Diane Velez. Let me go ahead and try her. One moment.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, Dan Bellis. This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor of Baldwin Park. We're calling you. This is public communication. You have 3 minutes. You wish to speak?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, council members. My name is Diane Velez. I'm a Baldwin Park resident, and I want to address a few things during today's public comment. The first one, I want to acknowledge Councilmember Hernandez has requested a discussion and direction to support the George Floyd Policing Act of 2020. And I think that's a great first step for the city to begin police reform. While we've seen in the previous meetings, the majority of council members do not support defunding the police department. But I think the bare minimum that we can do is admit our biases, our racism and nepotism that has occurred in our police department in the past. So I think this is a first step forward. The legislation holds all laws enforcement officials accountable for their actions, ends qualified immunity for police officers, and ends racial and religious profiling. It also mandates data collection on police encounters, including but not limited to banning military equipment. And I should note that I understand the police department is separate from the school board and separate from the city, but the Baldwin Park School Police Department has accepted military equipment in the past 10 years. I'm asking all council members to thoroughly support the legislation beyond just a signed letter, but also by following policing reform actions as outlined in the legislation. I also want to request a response as to how Mayor Lozano and council members are addressing the growing amount of preventable deaths in our city. In the past 3 months, we've been in a cycle of grief with death of the man and a woman after a domestic violence dispute on Apple Street. Then we had 2 deaths of young men on the 4th of July. And recently we had 2 deaths of young men on Baldwin Park Boulevard. And while some of these deaths were labeled as accidents, I ask you all to think deeply about what constitutes an accident and a preventable death. There are policies, practices, and community culture that is causing a growing number of deaths in Baldwin Park. Please address and commit to innovative ideas to address the root causes of the issues that your constituents are facing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Invest. I appreciate that. Very, very good points there, by the way. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next.
The next caller is Kiana Martinez.
Hi, good, Ms. Martinez. This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor of the City of Baldwin Park. Want to let you know that this is an opportunity for you to share information. It's our public communication, so you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Kiana. First, I want to request that we translate our meetings also in Spanish. As we can see, we have Spanish speakers who are listening in. Also, I would like to request that we still have that email option for people to submit their public comments to be read as well on top of the live comments that we're making now, because it's more accessible when people have work and so forth. And I also want to thank Alejandra Avila for speaking up and calling out Mayor Lozano and Mayor Pro Tem Hernandez for making prejudiced comments against unhoused people in our community. Also, so for item number 5, as of August 4th, LA County Public Health has reported about 2,000 COVID-19 cases and 52 COVID-19 related deaths. And the $300,000 for rental assistance is not enough for the average rent of about $1,500 in Baldwin Park. Based on this information, only about 193 families would benefit from the CARE Act, and we have over about 17,800 families in Baldwin Park. Therefore, I urge you to allocate those funds towards rental and food assistance and not towards laptops for city employees or salary wages for staff. Item number 6, as a waste management service user in Baldwin Park, I urge the city council to vote no on the about 3% increase in solid waste, which Waste Management hopes to implement in Baldwin Park. I myself am currently unemployed and my family is not going to receive the extra unemployment insurance after this month. And so many are experiencing the same economic challenges and some are on the brink of homelessness. If the city council approves this increases in fees, they're only demonstrating that an alliance with a large multi-million-dollar corporation is more worthy and important to you than the livelihood of our families. So please vote no for the increases in fees. On that same note, AB 1436, families are suffering, and I urge city council to support this AB 1436, which recognizes the scale and economic impact of COVID-19 emergency by removing the threat of eviction for renters affected by the crisis, and while preserving the ability for landlords to cover unpaid rent. The bill provides that a tenant cannot be evicted for unpaid rent during the COVID-19 state of emergency for 90 days after. I also have a couple more. So I want Baldwin Park to end the citations for street vendors. It's completely unacceptable. Street vendors all over California have been victims of harassment in some way. And in Baldwin Park, many of our street vendors have been given atrocious citations by Baldwin Park's code enforcement. And after BPPD was contacted by Councilmember Gina Yala, this is completely unacceptable. Many are undocumented immigrants and are just trying to survive and are an asset. Instead of being an asset resource for the community, the city of Baldwin Park is working against their own community in this way. So I call for the city council to end the citations of street vendors in Baldwin Park.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much about that.
And take out the fees and draw upon resolutions.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for your input. Appreciate that. All righty. We're going to go ahead and move on, Ms. Deputy City Clerk.
The next caller is Iman Malik Dadaik. One moment.
Oh, thank you.
Hello.
Mr. Iman Derek, this is Manuel Lozano. I'm the mayor of the city of Baldwin Park. We're calling you. You chose to speak during the public communication, so this is an opportunity for you. You have approximately 3 minutes. How are you?
This is Manuel Lozano, the mayor of the city of Baldwin Park.
Thank you.
You chose to speak.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
In the name of Allah, the gracious and merciful, May 25th, 2020, the departure of George Floyd was a painful day for every peace-loving person, be he black or white, red or brown. This humble servant of the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, India, is here to present what Islam teaches about justice, pluralism, mutual respect, and equality. God says in the Holy Quran, "O mankind, we have created you from a male and female, and we have made you tribes and sub-tribes that you may know one another. Verily, the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is He who is the most righteous among you. Surely, Allah is all-knowing, all-aware." Our beloved Holy Prophet Muhammad says, "O people, your Lord is one, and your Father is one. All of you are from Adam, and Adam was from the ground. The noblest of you in Allah's sight is the most God-fearing. There is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab, or of a non-Arab over an Arab, and no superiority of a white person over a black person, or of a black person over a white person, except on the basis of personal piety and righteousness." And at the end, I would like to present an extract of His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, India, founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, who was sent by God as the promised Messiah and Imam Mahdi, awaited in different religions. He writes, "My countrymen, a religion which does not inculcate universal compassion is no religion at all. Similarly, a human being without the faculty of compassion is no human at all. In fact, God is the Lord of all peoples." Let me end with the slogan of Ahmadiyya Muslim community: love for all, hatred for none. May God enable us to stand for supremacy of justice, because innocent lives matter. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for those beautiful words. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All righty. Deputy City Clerk.
The next caller is Alondra Gonzalez.
All righty. Go on.
leave your
Would you like me to try her again, or would you like me to go to the next speaker?
Let's try one more time.
Please leave your message for.
Okay, that's fine. All right, we'll go ahead and go to the next one. Thank you very much, Deputy City Clerk.
The next is Rosie Rios.
All righty.
Hello?
Hi, Ms. Rios. This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor of Baldwin Park. I'm calling you. You chose to speak under public communications. Yeah. How are you?
Thank you. I'm
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, approximately 2 minutes. Thank you.
I want to speak. Yes, I want to speak on the George Floyd Policing Act of 2020.
Okay.
So there's no question that Black folks and POCs are disproportionately detained and charged and imprisoned in the United States. And the House of Representatives passed the George Floyd Policing Act of 2020 by a 236 and 181 vote, and will be up for a vote in the Senate. So this legislation holds all law enforcement officials accountable for their actions, and qualified immunity for police officers, ends racial and religious profiling, mandates data collection on police encounters, bans chokeholds on the no-knock warrants, also limits military equipment on American streets, requires body-worn cameras, and classifies lynching as a hate crime. And so therefore making it open to federal resources for investigations and prosecutions. As a concerned resident of Baldwin Park and allied to the Black, Indigenous, and people of color, I hope that the City Council complies with this federal legislation, and not just on paper, but in reality. We see that Councilmember Hernandez has requested a discussion and direction to support this act, but we request that all council members thoroughly support the legislation beyond a signed letter by also following police reform actions as outlined by the legislation. I also did want to talk a little bit about ending citations for Baldwin Park street vendors. So street vendors all over California have been victims of harassment in some way, shape, or form. In Baldwin Park specifically, many of our street vendors have been given citations by the Baldwin Park's Code Enforcement Department. And so many of our street vendors around the city of Baldwin Park are contributing members to our community and are only attempting to survive during this crisis, as many of us have or continue to do, especially during these times of the pandemic. So many of these street vendors may be undocumented immigrants and may not have any other means of surviving during this pandemic. Instead of being an asset and resource for these community members, the city continues to work against them and criminalizes them. So these citations only make matters worse for street vendors, especially because they may have no way of paying them. And so therefore I call on the City Council to, one, end citations for street vendors in Baldwin Park, two, remove or cancel all citations that they have already been given to street vendors in Baldwin Park, and three, refund any citation fees that have been collected from street vendors. And four, lastly, just draw up a resolution that helps the legal integration of street vendors into our local economy. So with that, I just wanted to say also that linguist justice is very important in our community. There are very many languages that are represented.
Our time is up already. 3 minutes. Appreciate that. And if you stay online, you'll also hear the subject that you were just talking about as well. I want to thank you very much for your participation. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Moving on with public communication. Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
The next caller is Planning Commissioner Mr. Edwin Borges.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, go ahead. Thought it was on. Mr. Marcos Manuel Lozano, Mayor Baldwin Park, we're calling you. You showed interest in the public communication, so this is your opportunity.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor and distinguished City Council. Edwin Borges of 13915 Merced Avenue. I'm calling today about traffic hotspots in our city, otherwise known as, those streets, that are accident prone. I've lived in Baldwin Park over 45 years, and we have a issue at Merced and Fraser, to be exact. There's a slight curve there, and this is on Merced, but from Ramona heading towards Baldwin Park Boulevard towards Puente. We've had many accidents over the years. One just recently where the car was coming around the curve and he landed and kind of somersaulted and ended up in my my next door neighbor's driveway. There's been an instant where people don't notice that curve is so slight, so they come screaming down Merced, and then it's too late to slow down, and either they hit an oncoming car from the other side, or so many things could happen. Well, another time there was a car, there was a collision from the speeding on that street, and the car flew through the air and landed upside down in my other next door neighbor's front yard. I know there's been some officials, that have checked out that particular area that I'm talking about, Merced and Fraser. I've checked and I've noticed some arrows. There's even a sign that says pedestrian crossing, but it's not working. What I do like is what we have over near Sierra Vista, where there's kind of like some reflective lights on the actual concrete on the street. And when I drive through there, you tend to slow down already, because you never know when someone's going to cross the street, or you just know there's a curb. So there's still an issue with knowing that there's a curve up ahead. I don't know if we can have like some kind of flashing light, maybe on the sidewalk, kind of telling you there's a curve coming, you need to slow down. Or like I said, reflective lights on the street. We don't necessarily need a traffic stoplight. Getting back to this recent accident where all my neighbors came out, and we kind of united and started talking amongst ourselves, and I told them that I would be bringing this up at a future city.
All right, Mr. Marcos, the time is up, sir, and we will be discussing that subject as well during public council communication. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. You have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. All right, Madam City Clerk.
That concludes the public comment portion. There is the Alondra Gonzalez and the Mark Lopez that we were not able to get a hold of.
Lulu, Father Mike said he also sent a second email for this meeting. I don't know if you have it. I have it in a text. He actually sent it to all the council.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead and read that?
Do you want me to read it, or?
Let's go ahead and read it for now. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. Go, City Clerk. Excuse me.
Okay, let me find it really quick. It's okay. Here we go. It's from Father Mike. It says, on item 5, I recommend assistance increase for seniors, rental assistance, and small business. It's vague. Is city code expenditures. Okay, so vague is city code expenditures. So I hope this gets clarified or moved to support rental assistance. And please leave street vendors alone. On that line, please note unemployment is running at about 20%, and it is important that the city is being supported of citizens in Baldwin Park at this time. Thank you, Father Mike.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the mic.
And
yes.
also, I don't know if you want me to read this now during public comments. Senator Rubio wanted to to discuss the SB 292, so I guess it would be a public comment. She asked me,
Yeah, you want to include it when we go up to the public, because we're going to discuss that,
when
right?
you discuss that item, sure, I'll read it then. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Councilmember Avila, for doing that. All right, at this point, council members, and I know that Public Works probably dotted some of the things that were shared there regarding some of the streets and so on. No, go ahead.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Avila.
Oh, okay. So I want to thank all the people that came up and spoke and told us about all the concerns that are going on in the city. I definitely agree that there needs to be some police reform all around the country and here in Baldwin Park as well. There are things that need to be broken and I'm sure the whole council, we're all working on it. Councilman Hernandez put that item on the agenda. So we're all concerned about what's going on. So I appreciate the people that spoke up about it so that we can work with this and make our city better, make our police aware of the changes that need to be made. Also, I want to discuss the street vendors. I've actually gotten a few complaints about street vendors being cited. We've had this discussion last year, I believe it was. These people are trying to make a living and I understand they need to have permits. They need to make sure they have their health permit and everything in place. However, instead of citing the street vendors, I think we need to help them and guide them how it is they can be out there doing the vending and supporting them if they need a health permit, guide them on where to take them to get that health permit instead of immediately citing them. Like one of the speakers said, or a couple of them, they said they don't have the money. Some of them are just surviving COVID because they're out there selling food and doing the best that they can. Yes, they need to follow the law, but let's help them. Let's not fine them. Let's not make the situation worse for them. So I would like code enforcement and city manager, please, if we can work together to, instead of making the situation worse for the vendors, help them to see how we can make them or help them be up to code so that they're also making a living. And I know a lot about the park citizens like the streets, the raspados, the elotes, I sure do. So let's help them instead of making the situation worse for them. So other thing that I wanted to talk about is the traffic. Yes, there's a lot of hot spots here in the city of Baldwin Park that need to be looked at for speeders. I know there's a lot of speeding and races happening on Merced, again, where those accidents happen, Merced and Ramona Boulevard. And the people that live in those apartments on Merced and Ramona Boulevard, I've gotten a few calls that they get a lot of people racing down the street because these are big streets. So it makes it very, very dangerous. The renters, the trash issue, we'll talk about that when it comes up on the agenda. But I appreciate all the comments from the community. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, I want to thank you. I don't want to repeat some of the stuff that Councilmember Avila has stated. It's very important for us to be able to address, and we obviously know we're facing a pandemic, so this is one of the most trying moments for a lot of families that are unemployed, some that are losing their homes, rent, and so on and so forth. It's important for us to continue to make sure that we're cognizant of what is happening in our community. The speeding, we need to definitely speak to traffic to see what potential solutions we could occur. It's not only Baldwin Park, it's happening throughout the region. You look at the news, you're seeing these youngsters that are out there speeding, vehicles that have souped up motors and so on and so forth. And it's sad at the end of the day because of what we have witnessed here in the city of Baldwin Park. Ms. Ramos did mention something regarding the law enforcement officer. She mentioned the name, chief or commander. If you're present, please take note of that and make sure that is being addressed. And I'll end by saying that, yes, is the city of Baldwin Park headed towards reform? Absolutely, no different than other cities. We need to address the issues, the use of force, and also working with the community. One thing about the vendors, it's important that we need to educate them as well. There's some that live in Baldwin Park who've told me, how can I get a permit? Refer them up to City Hall. So they want to be out there as long as they're doing it legally. It's important for them. And like you mentioned, we could work with them, and I think it's an opportunity. There are those that are buying, others that have, well, I'm not going to mention what a resident sent me and what she saw one of the vendors doing. But we need to make sure that we educate them so that if they are in the street, that they are also practicing every safety method applicable, so that everyone is working together, because we obviously know they themselves are also trying to survive, no different than everyone else. Alrighty, so on that note, at this point, we'll go ahead and go over to consent calendar. We do have items 1 through 5. Council members wishing to pull any item.
Mr. Mayor, can we pull item 5?
Yes, sir. All right. Council members wishing to pull any other item? If see no interest and now.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can we also pull item 6?
Sure, item 6, actually, one moment. One moment, okay. Well, item 6 is the public hearing. That's
sorry about that. I missed.
That's fine. So at this
item 5.
That's fine. At this point, I'll go ahead and move a motion of consent calendar with the exception of item number 5. That is my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Hernandez. Any objections? Seeing none, so moved. At this point, item number 5, which reads consideration of federal CARES Act for coronavirus relief funds, allocations to the city of Baldwin Park in the amount of $941,944, for the expenditure related to COVID-19 incurred between March 1st in 2020 and December 30th, 2020. So at this point, will Vice Mayor Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is extremely important, not only to me, but the rest of the community. Obviously, we've heard a lot of comments stated this evening. I just wanted a couple clarifications just in regards to the business grant. I'm sorry, for the COVID-19 expenditure line item. I know that some of that is to take care of, items that we normally wouldn't have been purchasing during this time. And those do include laptops and whatever else, but I would like some general clarification as to what else is bundled up into that area. When it comes to rental assistance program, I did mention this, close to about a month ago that, for us to start looking at that. I do want to be very clear that, when we offer this program, once staff comes back and provides us, much more clarity for the business assistance and the rental assistance, is to also make sure that it includes people that are undocumented, because they also have businesses here in Baldwin Park, and I just want to make sure that they also qualify under this program once we determine what the needs are. Thank you. And Shannon, if or staff could share with us a little bit what's under that line item. Thank you.
CEO Canegazzi.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor and members of the City Councils. So this is CARES Act number 2, basically, and as you see, it came in just in time for us to keep the senior meals program going. The rental assistance and the business grants programs are some things the council has expressed some interest in, and Ben will be working on those programs and bringing them back to you at a later time for your approval. This CARES Act relief fund also provides reimbursement for the city for costs that the city has expended since the breakout of COVID. There have been a lot of over normal costs to the city. The 191,000 is just a very small part of that. And we will be applying for FEMA grants, state grants for reimbursement, but there's also most likely a number of items that will not be covered. And so this item covers a lot of the general fund expenses that we have incurred over the months. As was noted, laptops from employees who are working at home. We are having to sanitize equipment. So we're having to pay additional labor for staff to come in and sanitize the automobiles and the police vehicles at least once a day, sometimes 2 times a day if there's shifts. Sanitizing all the facilities, they have to be sanitized daily. So there's labor involved in that. And then also sanitizing things like the playgrounds and the other facilities that the public that are now open to the public, as well as supervising some of those facilities. And then in addition to that, there are a number of items that had to be installed in City Hall: plexiglass, windows, walling in some of the rooms and some of the cubicles. And so there were a number of expenses for physical improvements that had to be made to City Hall. in response to COVID and to keep City Hall open and operating for the public and for the community. I may have missed a few things. If you want more information, I think Ben or Rose are here if you have any other questions.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a quick question. I know Ben will provide more information on the rental assistance, and we have the senior meal assistance. Is that going, is there any way that something else can be added for rental assistance for the specifically for seniors as well? I don't know if that's possible or if it's all going to be tied in together. Just so you can,
no, so that program will come back to you. I think Ben is doing some research, and I think he can take your comment in concert with some of his research, and that will when it comes back to the city council, the city council can give us that direction if they want to set aside a certain amount of that for seniors or other.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Alrighty. Okay, so that's at this point, we'll go ahead and make a motion to pass item number 5, which is
Mayor.
Yes. Oh,
Just really quick, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Shannon and our executive team and any and all staff that worked to respond to this COVID-19, just everything that it brought with it. And I think that this item that we're discussing highlights our response. And I'm very proud of our staff and, even of the city council and how we responded. We were one of the few cities to offer testing for residents. We immediately provided senior meal delivery and swiftly. I mean, we jumped in thanks to Manny Carrillo and his staff and working with our community partners. That was no small endeavor. And, seniors were fed as a result. We also provided food vouchers, and we provided the hotline so that we could provide assistance to residents and to our community where it was needed. And I think that this highlights, all of that. In addition to that, we are operating very differently these days. We're not the only ones. There are other cities across the nation that have modified its schedule and its logistics, in keeping our city employees protected and to minimize exposure. And so I just want to say this item, and it's a itemized, black and white, simple item, but you know what? There's just so much work, so much effort that went into it. And the fact that we are even, looking at the resources for all of these operations, it's a huge endeavor. And so I just want to take the opportunity to say, this is, this is an example of rising to the occasion. And I know that we're going to continue to do that more. But I just, it's so easy for us to pick off like this and that and that and this. But you know what? There are people behind every day working to make programs and services available and resources. And this is just a perfect example. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to share that. So with that, I guess I'll make the motion to approve number 5.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor. Any objections? See not so moved. Thank you very much, and good job everyone for that, because we were definitely way ahead of the game. All right, so at this point, we'll go over to item number 6, which is the public hearing. Conduct a public hearing and consider adoption of resolution 2020-039, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Baldwin Park adopting amended fee schedule for solid waste collections and recycling services to reflect consumer price index increase for fiscal year 2020-2021. Now, at this point, I think we should table this and consider in the future, especially right now that we obviously are facing unemployment, the pandemics and so on and so forth. I think it's only fair. I could open up the public hearing at this point as well. Council members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would recommend or make the motion to at least open the public hearing, because I know that will be a cost that the city will have to incur if we don't in the future.
Yes. All right, so at this point, I will go ahead and open up the public hearing. So, Madam City Clerk, at this point, I'll accept anyone that's in favor. Do we have any anyone that has wanted to speak on the subject, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, I have three speakers, however,
In favor.
not very well identified whether they're in favor.
Okay, well, you know what, at this point, I guess legal counsel, can I just open it both at one time?
Mr. Mayor, the only problem, yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can. But anybody that speaks in favor, if there's somebody that speaks in opposition, when we figure out whether they're in opposition or in favor, if somebody speaks in opposition, you must give the people in favor a chance to rebut.
Absolutely.
So you can open it up exactly how you said. And then once we figure out if they're in favor or against, you do it that way. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, legal counsel, Mr. Robert Tafoya. So at this point, our deputy city clerk is Morales. Will call, I guess there's three callers. So at this point.
Only the applicant gets
Yes,
to rebut.
the first caller is Nahora Velez. Let me go ahead.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor of the City of Baldwin Park. Is this Ms. Velez?
Nora.
No, yes, you wanted to speak. This is regarding the public hearing about the waste management.
Ya, ok. Mi nombre es Nora Vélez y le estoy pidiendo al Consejo de Baldwin Park que no apruebe el aumento del 3.22% de la compañía de la basura. Estamos en una época muy difícil económicamente y cada año hay aumento. Agradezco su colaboración.
Muchas gracias, muy amable.
Ok, gracias a usted.
Gracias a usted. So, okay, so at this point, the caller is opposing the hike of waste management. So she's hoping that the council will support and opposing.
Okay, the next caller is Ms. Beatriz Sandoval.
Okay, thank you very much. So we just let the council know that was one opposition.
Hi.
Ms. Beatriz Sandoval, Manuel Lozano. So at this point, we are talking about the waste management. So at this point.
La tercera conversación, Mayor Lozano. Gracias, por llamarme, Lourdes. Quiero hablar sobre el aumento de la basura para nuestros residentes. Yo sé que la ciudad tiene un contrato con esta compañía y como todo contrato se tiene que concluir y llevar a cabo, pero también siempre nuestras expresiones, especialmente en tiempos difíciles, es que todos estamos juntos en esto, y yo creo que es el tiempo para que esta corporación, que no es un small business para estar en nuestra business association, pero aún está ahí, está bien, pero sí es un gran negocio que está por casi todo el oeste de los Estados Unidos, y yo creo que es tiempo para que ellos también enseñen a cómo tener una buena relación con sus consumidores. Y yo creo que ustedes están ahí para vigilar que el mejor interés para nuestros residentes que no sean solamente palabras. Yo sé que se tiene que aumentar un 3% o no sé cuánto hayan exactamente asignado, pero creo que no es el momento para hacer ese incremento. A lo menos no hacerlo, ya no pedirle a la gente que pague sus biles después o que no lo pague por lo pronto por la crisis, pero a lo menos que no aumenten el costo de la basura. Y también brevemente quiero mencionar que uno de los residentes también mandó request para hacer comentarios públicos y no fue llamado. Por favor, Lourdes, si puede revisar esa parte. También quiero pedir que por favor interpreten mi comentario.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Ms. Beatriz. Beatriz is opposing, as she understands and recognizes that there's a contractual commitment with the City of Baldwin Park and Waste Management. However, right now, due to the economy, due to what we are facing throughout the region, she opposes the proposed hike by Waste Management and contract with the City of Baldwin Park. All right. Thank you, Beatriz, for your information.
Hi, and Mayor, if I may, so I'm sorry, but the reason why maybe the callers weren't called is because there's a 5 o'clock cutoff time for the regular city council meeting. So any communications received after that time, they were not called, but they will be forwarded to the city council for their review.
Very good.
Mayor, can we move that 5 o'clock call up time to a later time? Maybe 5, it's too early to cut it off.
Let's consider.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next caller.
The next caller is no, I'm sorry. I just have the email address. It's Pelayo. It's Victor Pelayo, I believe.
Victor Pelayo. So there's no number?
Yes, one moment. I'm calling.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hello?
Victor Palayo?
Yes.
This is Manuel Lozano, Mayor Baldwin Park. How are you this evening?
Good, good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
You too. Pleasure, sir. We're allowing you at this point to make comment about the proposed rate hike with Waste Management. So you have approximately 3 minutes if you wish to share any information input.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Fine, thank you.
So I made a written statement and I wanted to kind of read.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That I submitted.
Okay, that's fine.
The financial security is a top concern right now due to COVID-19 pandemic. About 36.5 million people filed for unemployment over the last 8 weeks as of May 2020. 6 of the 10 people were concerned about how they would be able to pay their bills. Currently, the unemployment rate in Los Angeles County is 19.8% compared to 4.5% last year, same time, and the highest it's ever been since the 2008 financial crisis. The Baldwin Park Rent Stabilization Ordinance is also currently helping its residents by not increasing from April 2, 2020 to the end of the declared emergency, as well as issuing a temporary citywide moratorium on evictions for non-payment of rent for tenants affected by COVID-19. And as of March 16, the Baldwin Park Police Department temporarily suspended issuing parking tickets on scheduled street sweeping days due to coronavirus. So how can Waste Management justify maximum annual rate increase of 3.22%? According to the Consumer Price Index charts provided by Waste Management in the mail, the average annual rate increase has been 1.02% for the last 10 years between 2009 and 2019. A more reasonable and justifiable proposal would be an adjustment to all rates, fees, and charges that should be no more than 1.02%. The other solid waste service competitors serving the San Gabriel Valley cities offer better and cheaper monthly rates, and they also provide larger containers at Waste Management at cheaper competitive rates. It is apparent that most government agencies are attempting to ease the strain that most are feeling during this tumultuous time. It is hard to imagine that any agency can justify raising the rates when most are doing their part in helping relieve stress when everyone is dealing with such difficult and stressful times. This is not the time to raise rates. It is an opportunity for Waste Management to show compassion for the customers and clients that are struggling, and an opportunity for them to show that they have our best interest in mind. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll continue with the subject. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good night.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So I believe, does that end the public hearing?
Yes, Mayor.
So there are the total of 3 individuals that oppose the rate hike, and we did not have anyone that is support. So at this point, I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Mayor, this is Sam. Sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that we enter into the public record that we did receive communication via email and letters. We got 3 letters and 6 emails, all in opposition of the increase.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gutierrez. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so at this point, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and table this, the public, sorry about, let me just read the amendment for the fee schedule for waste collection and recycling services to reflect the consumer price index. So that is my motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, before you take that vote, could you please close the public hearing?
Thank you very much. At this point, thank you. At this point, hearing from our Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Morales, that we have no others wishing to speak and public hearing, I will declare it closed. So at this point, that is my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Avila. Any objections? See none, so moved. So at this point, I'll go ahead and make a motion again to move to table the amendment fee schedule for solid waste collection and recycling services to reflect consumer price index. That is my motion. Is there a second? Hello?
Second.
Okay. It was seconded by Councilmember Gina Ayala. So at this point, that will be tabled. All right. At this point, we'll go over to.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
Please go ahead. Go, City Attorney. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we need to take that vote. There's a motion and a second.
All right. So at this point, Madam City Clerk, roll call, please. So there was a seconded by Councilmember Gina Ayala.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion is to table the item. Councilmember Alejandra Avila.
Yes.
Councilmember Gina Mayala.
Yes.
Councilmember Monica Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Paul C. Hernandez.
Yes.
And Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Yes. Okay. The motion passes 5-0. So it has.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Mr. Vice.
If I can speak to this item?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I do want to give a little bit of instructions to our staff as we table this. Again, I do understand that it's a 3.3% or 3.2% increase. You know, what that means for just for our residents, including myself, is anywhere between a 70 cent increase on a monthly on the monthly bill, or I believe it's 87 cents if they have the larger containers. I do want to thank, Waste Management for everything that they've been doing. Their increases in the number of bulky items has increased during this COVID period, close to, as I understand it, close to about a ton, which equals out to about approximately 64,000 new containers being picked up, which are unexpected and unexpected costs. But I do want to make sure that we as a council understand that whenever we table this, or as we move forward with this increase at a later time, Waste Management at some points per their contract, we're going to have to make them whole to some degree. So between now and whenever we take this matter up again, I'd like to see if our staff could continue to work with Waste Management as they have been in the past, to see if we can look at, perhaps a different rate increase structure, whether it's a 2% or 2.5% or whatever that might be. I do understand that the Valley County Water District also had planned a rent increase this July, and that was, set aside for the time being. But I assure you that, like them and Waste Management, we'll have to continue to, increase this small fee, in the sometime, hopefully once we're out of this COVID. But they will have to be made whole at some point per their contract, because otherwise there's other language in there that speaks to, reduction of services and so forth. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of exactly what we'll be doing in hopefully sometime in the near future, but we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick question, Mayor, and maybe it's for Sam. Does that mean that once we do move forward with this, those charges be retroactive? Sam?
Yes, that is correct. So whenever we decide to move forward, and if and when it's approved, the charges, the monthly charges remain, and they just accumulate for now, but they will be retroactive once it's approved. And we're working with Wayne Management on figuring out how to handle that. It could be spread out over a year. It could be at one time. So we're still working with it.
Because we have to keep in mind, people are just getting back on their, and then all of a sudden the bill's going to be even higher, because let's say we go another 5 months, and that can potentially make a big difference. So, yes, if you can please continue to work with us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Mayor,
Legal counsel, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, I'll wait till after the council. Thank you.
Monica Garcia?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
I wanted to ask Sam, as you're working with waste management and based on the recommendations from Councilmember Hernandez, can you also bring back the fees comparatively to other cities? Because I think we've presented that before. Actually, that went into when we signed the contract with Waste Management, we looked at the fees and how they compared to other cities. And that was one of the reasons why, for the service that we receive, why we entered into a contract, because at that time, the fees were very competitive and actually lower than other cities. So can we get that once again? And then also, does it make sense to do like a little public relations campaign in our newsletter to let people know, it's, as Councilmember Hernandez said, it's like a 73-cent increase per month. I mean, any increase right now is going to have an impact in some way, but it is important to share what that 3% means, because people won't understand that percentage. So I think it's about informing our community, one, with the rates where we're at as of today. Two, the second item was, oh, sorry, I just drew. Just the campaign to share with the public what that increase really looks like. What does it mean? 73 cents a month per household, or 87 cents for the larger container. So Sam, can you do that? Can you work with Waste Management for that?
Yes, absolutely. So the analysis for where we land, that's done every year. So I'll revisit it and set it up and then send that out to council. And absolutely, we can work with Waste Management and put out some information in the Now and on our website. Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think when people realize it's a 73-cent increase per month, I mean, no, we don't want any increases, right? But when people understand that 3% equates to 73 cents per month, then I think, they'll be okay with it, especially given the level of service. And then once we know what the rates are looking like, if they're really competitive, all of that is important to share with the community.
Allow me to also share, Councilmember, that for the seniors, it would be 40 cents. All right.
Yeah, so once again, I think that is all information to share with the public. I think we should, go ahead and table the item now, provide more information, work with Waste Management, and yeah, that's where we'll leave it today.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, one last thing, I'm sorry.
Vice Mayor, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I think it's just important why we have, a captured audience in regards to this item. Right now, seniors do receive a discount of up to 38% off their fees. And I believe they have to be either 60 years old or 65 and a resident of Baldwin Park. That is all. But they do have to, reach out to, they could reach out to our staff, or they could reach out, more importantly, to Waste Management. And that can start. So There's only approximately 1,300 people that are signed up for that program. So it's, Sam, if you can put that out in the now and the other stuff that we're working on, it's just be very beneficial as we move forward and help, provide a little bit of relief. And again, that's something that won't change. That's just part of our contract that was negotiated. And again, just want to thank Waste Management for doing that for us.
Alrighty, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, legal counsel. Yes, sir.
I just thought it was very important for the public to know that this is not something that the city council is proposing. This is a contractual obligation that the city has. And the contract, as Vice Mayor Hernandez mentioned, the contract does say that if they are not given their CPI increase, that they are permitted to start reducing services. And so the real question is, do you want to pay 73 cents more per month, or do the citizens want to start reducing services? Now, Waste Management, I believe, is not doing that right now, and they're very gracious to do that. But that's really what we're looking at for the public's knowledge, is that this is a contractual obligation, and if we don't meet it, we have to start reducing services.
Mayor, one more thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yes.
And just a reminder too, with COVID happening, there's a lot more people staying at home. And what that adds up to is we're cleaning garages, we're getting rid of a lot more stuff. So I know, in talking to Waste Management, I know their bulky pickup has increased. I had the number of tons that increased here. I don't know what I did, but they are doing, they had one truck before doing the bulky pickup, and I believe now they have 3 to 6 trucks. The point being is that they're out there more, making sure that the trash that we're taking out, because now we have time to clean out our garages and all that, it's not piling up because they're coming out to pick it up. So they are providing more service than they originally were because of the COVID. So that's also something to keep in mind. But like Ms. Garcia said, let's inform the residents and give them the pros and the cons so they can better understand. And to some people, those 73 cents, it's a big deal. To some, maybe not. But let's put it out there, like Ms. Garcia said. So give them details on why these increases are happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good input by everyone. Anyone else wishing to speak on the subject? All right, if not, we'll go over to the reports of officers. We have item number 7, which is the consideration to make an appointment to fill a vacant city clerk seat. It is recommended that the city council discuss and take action on the possible appointment of the city clerk's position. I'm of the opinion that we appoint to this position. It's an important part of the city of Baldwin Park, especially with the elections coming up and informing our community. So this is why I am in favor of opening this up, and I'll go ahead and make a nomination at this point. I'll nominate Planning Commissioner Marlene Garcia to take the position.
Mayor, ma'am, comment before we finish the nominations, please.
Do that. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So I understand how important the city clerk position is. I was the city clerk, and during election times, it is a very busy time. That the city clerk spends doing the elections, because I've actually a few times ran the elections, but also to remind the city that we are in a budget crisis. Lulu is doing an excellent job handling the elections at this time. If we replace the city clerk and nominate somebody, if we don't, we can save $13,625 from here to December. Elections are just around the corner. And again, because I love Marlene Garcia and she knows that, but because of the budget crisis, and I know she's already running, we need to look into our budget. $13,000 is a lot of money. It's almost $14,000. I would recommend that we wait based on the budget and all the cutbacks that we've been having to do. I know Shannon says we're doing better, but every penny counts. So that's my recommendation.
All right. So, and thank you for your input. So I'll go ahead and back.
So is that a motion?
My recommendation is to hold it off So we can save those $13,625 from now till December and just wait for the elections because Lulu has a hold on the elections. She's doing an excellent job.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Yes, a motion to not nominate anybody.
There's a motion by Councilmember Avila not to nominate a candidate to the position. Is
So we can save money.
we can save money. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Okay, at this point, all right, so at this point, we'll go ahead and Madam Deputy City Clerk will take roll call.
Thank you. Councilmember Alejandra Avila.
Yes.
Councilmember Jean M. Ayala.
No.
Councilmember Monica Garcia.
You know, I haven't had time to think about this, so yeah, it's all coming at me kind of quickly here. Okay, I'll go with no.
Mayor Paul C. Hernandez.
Yes.
And Mayor Manuel Lozano.
No. Okay, so the motion dies. The motion is 2-3 at this point. So I'll go ahead and make a motion. I will go ahead and make a motion. All right. At this point, I'll go ahead and make a motion to appoint Planning Commissioner Ms. Marlene Garcia, who has experience, former council member, and I believe would do a good job from here up to election. So at this point, that is my motion. Yes.
Objection.
Second?
Objection.
Okay, one
Second.
objection.
Second, Mayor.
Okay, that's fine. So one objection, and this one, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor, I have a question really quick. Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, is there any conflict at all? Because we have these candidates running.
I don't believe legal counsel.
I'm sorry, Council Member Garcia, can you tell me the conflict between Marlene Garcia or a conflict with the mayor making the motion?
Yeah, actually him nominating Marlene Garcia.
Okay.
Is there any conflict there?
I don't believe there is a conflict unless he has some financial interest or some other interest in that appointment. I don't think there would be a conflict for the mayor making the motion.
Can we?
Is there? Okay, so for me, I mean, I don't have a problem filling the vacancy, and we have seen the water agency in the city and the school board do the very same thing. So I don't have a problem with that. I do want to just verify that if we appointed Marlene Garcia, because I know she has recently pulled papers, I want to make sure that there's no conflict.
Okay, so she's recently pulled papers to run for city clerk?
Yes.
And you're asking whether there would be a conflict regarding her candidacy
us appointing her.
I don't believe so, Monica, no.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
Robert?
Yes?
Can we make sure on that?
Sure, if the council would like to, put this off to the next meeting, I can research it, but, I do know conflict law and I really don't see any conflict, but I'd certainly be willing to do that and give you a written opinion if you so desire.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's more important. I mean, I'm asking the city attorney if there's a conflict. The city attorney is advising that there's not. So I'm okay with that. I feel like you're comfortable enough with that response.
Yes, Councilmember Garcia, I am.
Okay. So that's all I needed to know. Okay, Mayor, go ahead.
Well, okay, hold on. Hold on real quick.
Yeah, you know what, Mayor?
Okay, let me go this off. Yes. Yeah, so at this point, let's go ahead and get the opinion from the attorney.
Yes, I think that's a good idea that we should, Mr. Mayor, given some new information that I recently learned, I think it's a good idea to put this off to the next meeting and let me give a written opinion.
And and it goes
That's
on without appointing someone, then that's fine at this point. Okay, all right.
And
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just add, just so everybody knows, there is a deadline to appoint. It would be August 29th, 2020. There's a possibility we wouldn't have the next meeting in August because of some vacations, but it's also possible we could hold a special meeting if needed.
Okay, if needed, if not, then allow just to go and without appointing. But at this point,
And just as a reminder, we would save $13,625.
all right. So
That's a lot.
I know. Okay, so legal counsel, thank you, Alejandra. So legal counsel, we could move forward with that. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, people. All right.
Thank you.
And all righty. Thank you very much. Okay, so at this point, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the number 8, the approval and adoption resolution number 2020-040, entitled a resolution of the City Council of the City of Baldwin Park adopting representatives and alternatives as official representative of the city and review the appointed members. So at this point, you guys want to table this or get on this right away?
Table it.
Table it? All right.
Oh, come on, let's just, if council member, Avila wants to do it, then let's just do it.
No, I think you want to do that.
No,
Okay,
I'm done.
Pro Tem Hernandez, I nominate you.
No, thank you. No, if perhaps we could just give, if Councilmember Ayala is okay with the committees that Councilmember Pacheco had, I would just make the motion that she just carries those over, plus the one that was changed
Let's
last.
give her the schedule so she knows the schedule too.
Right, and so I'm not familiar with all of the schedule, so I wouldn't be comfortable okaying that right now. So I'm okay with tabling it, Mayor.
All right.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll go back to the original by Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Avila, and so at this point, she seconded. Any objections? See none, so move. All right, thank you, council members. All right, so we'll go to the next one, which is a request by me, discussion and direction of SB 28292, which may likely raise insurance rates for Californians at the time when many cannot afford it, and oppose any provisions in this bill that will allow insurance rates to increase at this time. I know, Councilmember Avila, you were going to read something to this?
Yes, I was sent something by Susan,
Sure.
Senator Rubio. I'll just read it. I'm not very familiar with the law. I heard about it, but I haven't read deeply into it. So I'm just reading the message that she's sending, if that's okay. It says, thank you for the opportunity to share SB 292 and the actual intent of this bill. As of today, the legislative session is still in progress and the bill hasn't been heard in all policy committees, which means it is not in its final form yet. This bill will be changed to become a data collection bill to help homeowners get affordable coverage. Climate change has created a new reality in California. 10 of the most destructive fires have occurred since 2015. More people died from wildfires in 2017 and 2018 than in the last 10 years of wildfires combined. Wildfire losses reached $16.5 billion in 2018. It has been the most expensive natural disaster worldwide. Clearly, many homeowners were left devastated and continue to struggle with their losses. Many homeowners are still without insurance coverage due to insurance companies refusing to insure them in the high-risk fire areas. That's unacceptable. Homeowners now have to turn to the really expensive Fair Plan governing run insurance program, which is the only option left when no one will insure them. This is why SB 292 is necessary. It creates a commission that gathers data to understand wildfire spread, wind patterns, the science of how structures and communities burn down, and the like to come up with mitigation standards. These standards can be used in the future to guarantee coverage for homeowners in the riskiest areas. If there's any concern that SB 292 will raise rates, please know that California law has a system in place to protect consumers. Rate increases are not possible without the authority of the insurance commissioner approval, given to him by the voters of California. The insurance commissioner is the only person who could approve the rate increases, not the insurance industry. The commissioner's job is to approve rates that are not excessive, unfairly discriminatory, while protecting the consumers. I am confident that the information gathered under SB 292 will be useful to understand climate change, wildfires, and to ensure affordable coverage for all California owners. Thank you, Senator Susan Rubio. That was the message.
Okay, all right, and I want to thank the senator for sharing that information with us as well.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
All right, council members have any questions? All right.
Mr. Mayor, is staff going to give us a quick fact sheet as to what the current bill is and so forth?
We can get you an update that. This item is a couple weeks old and it sounds like it's been moving through the House. So we will get the latest from the League of California Cities and send it to you tomorrow.
Yep, no problem. Thank you very much.
All righty, council members, at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to the other item, which is the Avila request, discussion and direction regarding the COVID-19 cases in the city of Baldwin Park, a measure that city is taking to limit exposure. All right, Councilmember Avila.
Thank you, Mayor Lozano. As you are probably aware, and we're all very concerned, you're concerned, the cases in Baldwin Park are increasing on a daily basis. The last time I looked at the report, there was 2,103 cases in the city of Baldwin Park with 53 deaths. It is very concerning to me that our city continues to increase at a high rate. My question at this time is, who is in charge of the EOC handling the COVID cases right now? How are we, what level are we at? Is it level 3, 2, or 1? Because we haven't received any input on what Baldwin Park is doing. I want to know how many Area 3, who is assigned to our Area 3? And I know, Shannon, you send us updates on COVID and all that, but I want to be specific. I want information on the city of Baldwin Park. Who's handling the businesses to make sure they're adhering to the state law and to our city law? Because I know I've been into stores where people are not wearing a mask. I know I'm wearing a mask, and just me seeing somebody without a mask, it makes me afraid. And I'll tell you why. And I just share this with Mayor Lozano. A month back, just a week ago, I recovered from COVID. I was out of work for a whole month. My family was impacted, and we took every precaution. We disinfected everything that came into this house. Packages were left out. We changed our shoes. However, somehow, we got impacted by this disease, and I just went back to work a week ago. Thankfully, I had a pretty healthy system that I was able to combat it. But it concerns me when I go into the store. I just went to the store for the first time yesterday. And believe me, I was afraid when I saw people without a mask. The store's not taking accountability for making sure these people are wearing the mask. I know I can control what I do, but what are we doing as a city to make sure that these stores are abiding by the law? Because I'm not protecting just myself. We need to protect every single resident. Is code enforcement going out there? I know it's a big job. Are they making sure the stores are abiding by the law? And if they are not, what are they doing? Are we citing them? Are we telling them, are we giving them a warning that if they continue to do this, we can cite them? Because I understand that we can cite the facility. And if it has numerous accounts of them violating the law, we can probably shut them down temporarily until they abide by the law. So this is very concerning that the cases are going up. I just talked to Father Mike, and he has had several services for families of the city of Baldwin Park that have passed. I personally know people that have passed. I know people in the city in Baldwin Park that are in the hospital on ventilators at this time. So it's very concerning. I want to make sure that our EOC is up and running and that we're doing everything that we need to do to protect the residents of Baldwin Park. And we need to start by making sure that our businesses are abiding by the rules and that are following every single direction. And I know it's going to take more footwork from all of our staff members, but it's concerning. These rates are concerning, and I just want answers on what exactly we are doing to protect our citizens. And also, what are we doing? I don't have detail on what we are doing to protect our employees. Have we cut down on staff? I know you are alternating staff, but is there still too many people in the offices? So I want, if you can give Shannon a report back on how exactly you're breaking down your staff at the city to make sure, because you can never be too careful. Sometimes 3 people in one office is too many. So again, I'm very concerned about the cases and about the procedures that we, so I want to report and see, let's work together to see what we can do to increase or to decrease, excuse me, the rate of COVID patients here in the city of Baldwin Park. Thank you.
I want to, first of all, acknowledge and admire Councilmember Alejandra Avila for sharing that publicly as a public official, and the fact that it's affected her family. We obviously know that's happening to hundreds and hundreds of individuals in Baldwin Park, over 2,000, some that have tested positive in the city, and our number is even high when we look at the death rate. So it's important for us, what you said, that we need to be conscientious about COVID-19, that this is for reals, that this is not fake. And unfortunately, when you look at the news, all these parties that are going on and a multitude of people gathering, it's like, wow, that's incredible. And we're not out of the woods yet. So, but thank you, Alejandra, for sharing that. I really admire you for that. No different also than Commissioner Marlene Garcia, who also contacted COVID-19 and it was out for quite some time. Thank you.
Right. So we need to brainstorm and let's work up a better plan, because, you know, there's always room for improvement in everything. So let's brainstorm and see what else we can do to improve the situation here in Baldwin Park, please.
Oh, yes, absolutely, definitely. Alrighty, so I just have 2 items that I want to bring up. First of all, let me, and I failed to say 2 things. For one, that we do have our city treasurer, Ms. Maria Contreras, online. So I want to let everyone know. And also introduce our interim police chief that we have, Mr. Robert Lopez. I want to thank you, Chief, also for being a part of the team as we're going through the process. An issue that I want, Chief, us to look at is the jail. The jail, we were looking, I believe that the company that we have is looking to go on, I guess, another whole different way where they're involved, I guess, with the state prisons or so on and so forth. Not very certain, but I want us to thoroughly check what potential options we have before we close the doors on the jail that we currently have. We booked individuals here, and if we don't, then obviously there was talk about the city of Almani. We have previously also discussed having the CHP. They were looking at utilizing our jail. So I want to make sure that we look at every innovative way to be able to preserve the jail that we currently have, because if we end up closing, from my understanding, then we are no longer grandfathered in the actual jail that we have here. It would have to be up to par to whatever is mandated because it's the same jail from 1978. So we're not going to close the doors yet. I believe we have 90 days and we need to ask for more time. Let's look with the actual company itself. Chief, you're hearing me there? And also Commander?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir, I am. And also Commander Hofford with me. I want to thank you and the council for allowing me to be here as an interim chief. Thank you so much for the introduction. And Commander Hofford has been working diligently on the process and our involvement with Almani. So I'll let him speak to it and address your issues and concerns.
Yeah, and before we go on there, let me also just share that the city of Baldwin Park, that city of Irwin utilizes the city of Baldwin Park. And I know we had mentioned about bringing on the CHP, so I don't know why we haven't done that. And we need to look at that prior to us deciding that we're going to close up and utilize the city of Almani, who is also having financial issues. So we need to make certain that we look at everything, not just simply say, this is where we're going. Because that's a decision by the city council. And it's important for us to know. I mean, we should be looking at pay for stay that I don't think we've never implemented. We've talked about it before, where individuals can be incarcerated and look at that. CHP, maybe look at also the city of West Covina. I know that the jail, I believe, costs the city something like $350,000 or $380,000. So some of those, what I just mentioned, could offset some of that cost. And I want to be able to look at that first. I know there's other ranking individuals within the police department who I have met with, who have also shared different concerns. I want to also know, have we done the cost analysis if the officers have to leave the city, the time and that we're losing or from being in the city itself. So there's a multitude of different things. So don't want to hear that we're going to close that down at this point. We're going to look at innovative ways before we decide to go on that route. But at this point, Mr. Commander Hoffer, did you have anything to say at this point, sir?
Mr. Mayor and council members, staff is not finalized with any decisions or recommendations that we'd like to make to council on this matter just yet. We do have a severe cut in our jail budget this year that we do have to address. We are looking at a number of different options, and we're exploring all of the things that you mentioned, sir. And when we have a final report to present to you, then we will do so as soon as possible.
Yes, please. And I want to definitely see the CHP looking at, because I actually was speaking to Chippy about 2 weeks ago, and that comment was brought up in a conversation. So let's please look at these innovative ideas that are out there. I appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Commander. Thank you, Chief. Secondly, I also have a question, Chief, and I guess probably would involve the HR department. We obviously have removed the lieutenant positions. So the lieutenant positions technically have become commanders, meaning that there are 2 current acting lieutenants, which should have that same opportunity to be acting commanders, since we've removed the titles of lieutenant. So we could get together with Laura and the chief, and we could look at that, because I think it's important to allow those 2 other individuals that are acting lieutenants to also be acting commanders. I think that's only fair. So we could look into that. I'd appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And I guess I'll refer to you. We could meet up with the chief regarding that. All righty. And then 1/3 and one last one that a lot of us are concerned with, and I know that Councilmember Avila had brought it up. And Chief, this is a message for you and the commander and all the ranking officers that are involved. Also Lieutenant Huerta, traffic unit division, that to address the speeding that goes on in the city ballpark. We obviously know it's not just Baldwin Park, it's happening throughout the county or throughout the state for that matter. These vehicles that are souped up with these motors, this big, huge V8s and so on and so forth. 6.7 square miles in ballpark, 75,000 people. And I know we can't be at any place, but somehow we need to get the message out. And I think, Chief, we probably need to work on some type of video or message that we need to send out to the community, something that I'm working on, to let our youth know the danger, or how dangerous it is to speed in residential areas. The unfortunate part, I'm not sure if Irwindale still has the racetrack available. And I know at one point we were giving out these free tickets so they could take their vehicles and go speed out there. So we need to send a message. The tragedy that occurred this past week was horrible. And over the weekend, there was some others that happened somewhere out in LA County. 2 individuals again killed, and it seems to be something that's occurring every day. So somehow we need to make sure that we get our traffic officers, that we get ourselves aligned and send a very clear message, Chief.
I agree with you, sir, and we're definitely going to look at the issue that caused the tragic accident. So we'll coming back with some information, and hopefully we'll have a public safety message as well to put out.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, Councilmember.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Monica Garcia.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to welcome our interim Chief of Police, Lopez, and look forward to working with you. Second, I would like to thank Commander Hofford for stepping into the role, and I've appreciated and have enjoyed working with you in that role. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And on the note of speeding, something that I would like to see where it makes sense is to have those motor cops. This is something that I had expressed even to our interim chief, Patino, about having motor cops in certain areas of our city, especially those areas where we know that are problematic. And like, I'll give you an example. There are a couple of trucks, young kids, they get their kicks out of doing donuts at Olive and Merced. And, you know, you get the dust and the, I don't know, just everything that gets kicked up as they're doing their donuts. And then they, you know, they go off into the sunset like nothing. So this is becoming a problem, unfortunately. And so having that presence, I think, will help. Along those lines, I also want to ask our Public Works to look into the area that Commissioner Edwin Borges mentioned, which is Merced and Fraser. And that is just designed in a way that I'm sure is problematic. So if we could have our Public Works look at that and look at any recommendations. And I also wanted to mention that I had a conversation with Congresswoman Grace Napolitano recently, and I expressed to her the gratitude for the stimulus package and how we were using the funds to serve our community as described in the item number 5 of the agenda. And so she expressed that it would be a good idea for our city to write a letter to Congress or the speaker, the more influential members of Congress, and to let them know how we have used those funds. Because, and I worked in Washington, D.C., I know that there is a disconnect. And so, for her, it's been a big fight as to where money is allocated. And so, clearly this money helped the city serve our residents and make sure that it trickled down as in terms of food vouchers and senior meals and COVID testing and, other items of assistance. So if we can do that, Shannon, if we can get a letter on the agenda for the next council meeting, and, I'm happy to help with that in drafting that. Second, she also was informing me of a bill that she was celebrating, that it had just passed. It's the WRDA, WRDA, and it's regarding monies, a significant amount of money that's going to go to water agencies, water recycling programs. And so I think that's something that we want to bring to the forefront, especially to celebrate, the passage of her very important bill, but also how it applies to our community, because water is always a priority issue and an important policy area that we need to keep at the forefront. And I'm sure that Councilmember Paul Hernandez will be able to speak to that even more. But yes, let's get that on the agenda if we can, Shannon. That's my council request for the next agenda, please.
Okay.
Under the council discussion.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Mayor.
Yes. All right. Real quick, before I forget, also, Chief, want to thank Hemingway. He was the person that informed me on the accident that happened last week. So if you could just let him know, thank you, and I appreciate him and keeping me abreast of what transpired. All right. So at this point, council members, anyone else?
I just want to say really quick, I just got an email right now of a resident that she didn't get a call for her public comment, and she says she submitted it in a timely manner before the deadline. I want to request that maybe we can continue doing the public comments for those that are sending emails. But she says she sent in her number and that she didn't get a call back, and this is the second time that her comments are not read or that she doesn't get a phone call. So this is serious. So let's try to change things up so everybody gets a chance to speak out, and we need to hear what they have to say. So maybe let's continue reading the emails as well as having them call in. That way we don't miss anybody.
Yeah, let's forward that email so we could all get it. Thank you.
So Mayor, we found out that email for some reason went to the spam folder. It was blocked by our security-ware on the server. We do have it, and we will pass it on to you.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
But consider reading the emails as well, Mayor.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, we forgot Councilmember Hernandez, also a discussion direction to staff to prepare a letter of support to sign by the mayor and city council regarding HR 7120, the George Floyd Justice Policing Act of 2020. This is very, very important. Vice Mayor, thank you for putting this on the agenda. Yes, sir. You're on the air.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. As mentioned, we've all been discussing this police reform, police trust, police force for the last several months. In the coming weeks, I did request for the body cam report, the cost of that. We set aside money in our budget, at least some seed money to once we understand what that's going to look like and cost. So we'll be having that discussion at a later time. I believe actually the police department's actually doing some field testing just right now with some of those different types of units out there. But also we're also going to receive back another report back in regards to the professional standards division. And that there is extremely important and for many reasons. First and foremost, it is going to be speaking to a lot of the things that are within this George Floyd, within this George Floyd bill that we are trying to send a letter to in support of. For whatever reasons, the Senate side has blocked these type of efforts for quite some time. We have to make a statement not only at the federal level, but I also believe that these type of things will trickle down not only to our department but to our community across the board. We have some folks in our community that don't have the greatest trust with our police department for one reason or another. The point is, we want to continue to make sure that they feel comfortable working and interacting with them and reporting type of crimes when there are crimes that are happening in the community, because it's those folks that are helping with us. So again, this letter of support, I think what it does for us is it does a couple things. One is it justifies and it shows our commitment to overall reform. Many folks asked us to defund the police department back in early June, that we stayed up till the wee hours. And as we mentioned, that's something that would not be done overnight, that this was going to be an ongoing conversation among all of us. And, I continue to have those conversations with, our community stakeholders and police department members and others, so we could better understand, what that change means for us. There is a great report that President Obama did back, which was called the Task Force on 21st Century Policing. My hope and my belief is when Joe Biden, our new elected president, comes in, a lot of the recommendations out of that report will be implemented here at this level. The other great thing that's is also of note is Republican Karen Bass, a local community leader, someone that I've known for many, many years, working in South Los Angeles and other parts of Southern California, has, authored this. And as we've known is, it's passed on the Republican side, but, we really need to make sure that the Senate understands and passes this, because without that, it's just going to die. But regardless, these are almost an outline of things that we can begin to do here in Baldwin Park. And I'd offer this as a roadmap for us to have, further discussions, as we will and as we have been, once we, with our current interim chief, and then of course with our permanent chief. But it's something that we can begin to use as a roadmap for us to do that. So with that, I'd like for all of us to sign on to the letter that we can send to the House and the Senate leaders, including Republican Representative Karen Bass, so she understands that she has support, in her own backyard. Thank you.
You meant to say Democrat, right?
I said representative.
All right. Anything else? If not, at this point, I think this is awesome. Let's get the signatures. Let's move forward.
Let's get the signatures. I agree. And like our speaker, Ms. Rosie Rios, says, let's hold everybody accountable. Let's hold ourselves accountable, our department and everybody, so that this works for everybody. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hernandez.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you for adding this to the agenda.
And if I could ask that when we take up this item, that we have a study session dedicated to this issue, because I imagine that there will be a lot of discussion, a lot of community input, but also discussion amongst the council.
Absolutely. Completely. I have no doubt that we would be discussing it not only at our level, but also at the community level.
Yes, yes. And at minimum, you know, just dedicating a study session for it, because I just think it's gonna warrant that. So, but thank you. This is great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. At this point, we have Councilmember Gina Ayala.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of items that I'd like to comment on or discuss. First of all, I want to personally acknowledge our staff, everyone from the directors to all the staff in terms of their response to COVID, and especially in regards to our CARE Act relief funds and how they've generated those in terms of allocating to better serve our residents and our community members. So I want to say thank you to everybody, because I know that we're working collaboratively to do that. Also, I want to acknowledge our planning vice chair, Commissioner Edwin Borges, for calling in. I know that he's had some concerns about the traffic issues, especially in Fraser and Merced, because that's also near my residence, but it's always been an issue. And I believe that he's talking about the lights. He's referring to Robinette and Francisquito to highlight that area of Fraser and Merced, maybe not as extravagant, but something to kind of highlight. And I know that there's more crosswalks in that area, but something to address that. So I want to thank Mr. Borges for actually addressing that with us. I also, there's just two more points. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our Public Works Department, because during my daily walks through our great community, and it's extended itself throughout these months, but I've had an opportunity to really see the maintenance, especially of our bus shelters. And I was really impressed at how they were out there power washing them, and from head to toe and everything. So I was like, wow. And I was really impressed by that, because I know that those are highly used and, you know, they've got to be clean. So I really want to give some props to Public Works for that. And I just really appreciate their work and doing that. And lastly, I want to acknowledge our police department in this respect, especially with the recent events that have occurred in terms of in our community with personal tragedy. You know, our police department has really had to step up. They've had to have a police presence that maybe wasn't expected. So what I'm talking about primarily are blocking streets, covering certain neighborhoods, with blocking, so traffic doesn't affect those police activities going on. So I really want to, at this point, really acknowledge those officers who've been utilized to not only secure those areas, that they've had to be posted there for some time, and I acknowledge that, but I really want to, because that takes them away from their patrol, and our patrol officers are limited as it is. So I want to acknowledge them, first of all, for having to do that. I would encourage maybe Chief, maybe using a rotating kind of thing, because if you're there your whole patrol, that's a long time. Why don't you, switch them out if you're not already with the guys that are currently and the females who are currently out doing patrol. But I personally want to acknowledge those officers that maybe don't have to stay there, but are out still servicing our community. They're answering our calls. They are servicing our residents at the same capacity as if they were full force. So I want to really give a shout out to all of those people, to our police department, to our public works, to our staff in general, for dealing with all that COVID information and on all of those issues. So thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Councilmember Gina Ayala. Anyone else wishing to share anything else? If not, at this point, I will go ahead, and we don't have anything else. I'll go ahead and move for adjournment.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. Viva Baldwin Park. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.